Good morning, everyone. So I am not Thomas Zellman, who was on the program as speaking on this particular topic this morning. Thomas unfortunately couldn't make it over from Germany, so they asked if I would fill in and speak on the topic of paper to PDF or scanning to PDF documents. So I'm going to speak on that, and you already met me this morning. Again, I'm the PDF architect for Adobe Systems. So I want to sort of talk about this, talk about a couple of aspects. One is looking at what has been done in the past, what do we want to, and in a sense, where do we want to go in the future? Obviously, the history here, and to be honest, what's still done in a lot of cases today is to scan directly to some form of raster image format. TIFF, of course, being the most common example. And it's common for a lot of reasons. One is it's the oldest in some ways of the various image formats. It was designed for scanning in a lot of cases because it has support for a lot of features in it as it relates to scanned documents. It supports many different color spaces, including black and white and color. It supports a bunch of different compression algorithms, so you can get different sizes. It supports metadata. It supports extensibility. And from that standpoint, it's a very good thing. But the two biggest downsides to something like TIFF, one is, and Kevin sort of mentioned this earlier, but I want to put a bigger point on this, is that TIFF is actually proprietary. Adobe owns it. We have owned it since 1992. And in fact, the last time we updated the specification for TIFF was 1993. Okay, so not only is it proprietary, it hasn't been updated in a long time. What that means is that any of the advancements since then are not published, they're not standard, and there's a lot of inconsistency in the TIFF world, and it's one of the biggest downsides to TIFF. Things like JPEG, PNG, even JPEG 2000, which is one of the newest ones, those are at least open international standards. They're published by different organizations. JPEG 2000 is an ISO standard, just like PDF is. PNG and JPEG come from other groups, such as the IETF, which is the Internet Engineering Task Force. So at least those are controlled, they're updated, they're continually evolved. And that makes them much better in that regard. So you know that there's continued growth in those things. But they're all image standards, meaning that all you're going to get are the bits of the image. Yet you could probably stick some metadata in there. They all support actually the same metadata standards. There are two common ones. There's IPTC, which is the photographic standard, and then there's the same one the PDF uses, which is called XMP, the Extensible Metadata Platform, which came originally from Adobe and is now also an ISO standard. And so we've got commonality across that, but we're just getting the bits. We're not getting text. We're not getting the ability to use advanced technologies, and I'll talk about one of those called MRC in a little bit. And so we want to start looking at how we can move towards something like PDF, which is going to give us all of the benefits of these things with none of the detriments. So one of the things, of course, everyone is concerned about is quality versus size. And we can see here some examples, and I don't think this is shocking to anyone, but as we go through things like TIFF versus PNG versus JPEG, and JPEG, of course, if you're not familiar, JPEG actually stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group. It was absolutely designed for photographs. It should not be used for anything except photographs. Don't ever, ever, ever scan text into JPEG. Okay, that's one of those things that we send people to your house to beat you with a stick. Just don't ever do it. And the other one that I also bothers me, and I'll just bring it up, is don't ever put JPEGs of documents online for the exact same reason, because they're going to look really bad. Use PNG, okay? Use JPEG 2000 if you must. Those are good standards for the web without all of the photographic problems, and you can obviously see it, and you've seen it before. Losslessness. We also get text. Again, let's go OCR the document. We can convert text today. Convert the image of text into actual real text. Things related to scanning into documents. So we've talked about it being an open standard already. To search PDF is a superset from the standpoint of to index and image documents. And we talked about metadata and use of XMP. And
which,
I say
again,
it's
not
superset,
only
it's
one of the
actually
nice
a
things
pure
that you
superset,
get
meaning
for
that
images, you
you
get
can
document level
actually take
metadata,
a TIFF
which is
file,
very,
a
very
JPEG, a
useful.
PNG, a JPEG
Within
2000, all
PDF,
of
we
those
can
formats
actually
we
have that
talked about,
metadata on
and
a per
convert them
page or a
into
per
PDF
image basis.
100%
And that becomes
losslessly,
very
because
useful
what
when
you
you're
literally
combining
do is take
different
the
things
exact
together. So if I've got
bitmaps
losslessness.
and copy them.
We also
into
get
the
text.
PDF.
We can
And
OCR
you
the
can sort of
document.
think
We can
of
convert
that
text
as a
convert the
rewrapping.
image
So
of text into actual real text.
Perfect time of year. You're regifting something. So someone sends you a gift, you unwrap it out of the package.
search-
They send it to you you stick it in a new package, and you send it on, and you give it to your
index
Aunt
it.
Bertha.
And we talked about metadata
It's the
and the
same
use of
pack-
XMP.
It's the same gift. Okay, you haven't
Which,
touched
again,
the gift
not
in
only
any way.
one of the nice
You've
things
just
that you get
repackaged it.
for images, you
Same
get
thing is
document level
absolutely happening
metadata,
here.
which
So
is very,
there's
very
a
useful.
zero
Within
modification
PDF, we can
when
actually
you
have that
take any of
metadata
these
on a
image formats
per
and put them in
page or a
PDF. So I
per
say it is
image
a pure
basis.
superset.
And that becomes very
In
useful when you're
addition, you can now
combining
take
different
advantage of
things
some things
together.
you
So if
couldn't
I've got
before.
that
We'll
losslessness.
talk about some of these
We also
advanced
get text. We
technologies
can OCR the document.
shortly.
We can
But
convert
it's important
text.
to remember that
convert the
losslessness.
image of text.
We
into
also get
actual real
text.
We can OCR the document. We can convert text convert the image of text to
into
search
actual real text, to search it, to index it, and we talked about metadata
to
and the use
index
of
it.
XMP.
And we talked about metadata and the use of
Again,
XMP.
not only one of the nice things
which
you get
again, not only
for images,
one of the
you
nice
get
things that you
document
get
level metadata,
for images, you get
which is very,
document
very
level
useful.
metadata
Within PDF,
which is very, very
we can
useful.
actually have that
Within
metadata on
PDF,
a
we can
per
actually
page
have
or
that
a per
metadata
image
on a
basis.
per page or
And
a
that
per
becomes very
image
useful
basis.
when you're combining
And that
different
becomes
things
very
together.
useful
So
when
if
you're
I've got
combining
two
different
scanned
things together.
documents
So if
and
I've
I'm
got that
combining them into a
losslessness.
new one,
We
I
also
want to
get
keep the
text.
information
We
about
can
the
OCR the
originals
document.
intact.
We can convert
I
text.
want all the original
convert the
metadata
image of text into actual
unmodified.
real
I don't want to
text.
have to start figuring out how do I merge it all together, which I would if I were combining it at the image
search
level. In PDF, I can keep them in their original state and then perhaps create a new
index
set,
it.
which
And we
represents
talked about
this new
metadata and the use of
combined
XMP.
document. And so I get some
Which,
benefits
again,
there.
not only
So again,
one of the nice things
none
that
of
you
the
get
disadvantages,
for images,
lots
you
and
get
lots of
document level
advantages.
metadata.
So, full text search, as I mentioned, I don't think there's too much to say here that I'm sure most of you don't already know. The technology is out there, it's widespread, it's easily available, and it's a very good thing. Now, I say that as a general statement about it being a very good thing. It's actually interesting. If you look in the PDF-A standard, when we put it together, the archivists from NARA actually had us put some text into the PDF-A standard that said, if you don't have a process for checking it, don't OCR the file. Because to them, the OCR without verification is worse than not OCRing it, because you're not sure you're actually getting the real thing, that it's authentic. And so that was so important to archivists that we did that. So something to think about, and it goes to things like transfer guidelines and the requirements of your organization, whether you should do OCR or not, to what extent, whether it's automated or manually processed. But technology is there, and it's certainly a very worthwhile one. Okay, let's talk about some of the compression advantages we get with PDF that are not available in some of these other formats. So there's two ones. One is related to black and white documents. The technology is called JBIG2. There was a JBIG. Pretend that never happened. We only ever talk about JBIG2. JBIG was a bad idea. Okay, so the most important things to take away from this are that it has both a lossy and a lossless mode. So if you're concerned about even throwing away the smallest pixel, you have a choice. You can use lossless, nothing at all gets thrown away. But one of the cool things about JBIG2, in my mind, as it relates to lossy, is that loss in this case is actually at the individual pixel level. And you can't, it's kind of hard to see in this particular example. But it's very common when you scan to get dirt or scratches in there. If you're using an old scanner or some dirt got on there. The JBIG2 algorithm was designed that dirt removal. So if it sees little pixels that are clearly dirt, they're outliers, they don't represent real data, that's what gets lost. So in the lossy mode, that includes dirt removal. It's just part of the way it works. That's important to you. If you like to keep your dirt, no problem. We've got a lossless mode. But it's interesting to consider that that idea is incorporated into this technology. Fully supported by PDF-A, even PDF-A1. In fact, this was I will tell you, when we were doing PDF-A1, The inclusion of this actually had us hold up the standard by about a year to make sure that we got this into PDF and into PDF A1. So it was considered that important to the standard. So every version of PDFA supports this, and again, part of the standard. Okay, so black and white, very common. A lot of stuff is still scanned today in black and white. There's a lot of documents are black and white. Color, of course, as has been said, is not just nice to have, it's a huge benefit. If you can do color scanning, clearly you want to do color. Even if it's only a black and white document, or a document where the colors are not 100% significant, it's sometimes worth it to get that extra fidelity to do it. It's also, to be honest, hard to buy a black and white scanner anymore. I actually tried to do that recently just to prove, and I actually cost more to buy a black and white scanner than to buy a color scanner. So, you know, it may just be easier. And again, this should be fairly obvious. Certain documents just don't look right if you don't do them in color. At least if you get grayscale, it might not be too bad, but the colors are significant, especially something like an invoice where the red text is clearly important, especially in an archival nature where it has, you know, true semantics, you know, a real value in understanding that red nature. So what do we do for color? So there are many different ways of doing color documents in PDF. They're all things that are available elsewhere. JPEG 2000 being the newest one, and also being a separate standard. You'll also hear a lot of people who like using JPEG 2000 by itself as an image format. It's very good. JPEG 2000 is a great technology, a great format. It also has both a lossy and a lossless mode. And so you can get very good compression even without loss. So I do recommend it if you're doing color. JPEG 2000 is an excellent choice. It's also being used in the video industry for the same reason. It's got a lot of great technology behind it. It is only supported in the archival world by PDF A2 and A3. So if it's important to you, you do have to move up to the PDF A2 versions. But as I said, and you can see from the sizes, it's significant, and you will benefit from the advantages of JPEG 2000. But there's something that you can't do in these other image formats that you can do in PDF. And I think it's one of the biggest benefits when it comes to scanning. And this is what we call MRC, mixed raster content. And the idea is very simple. If you think about a page, a scanned page, you have, in most cases, things that are color, like a color photograph. You have text, which is black and white, and then you might have some other color areas. It might be a diagram, solid color areas. If you use the same compression across all of that, some things are going to suffer for one reason or another. If we use JPEG on everything, of course, we have all the text problems we talk about. If we were to use FLATE or JPEG 2000 or whatever on those areas, then the size is going to be larger. What if you could actually split it into chunks, the layers, if you will, and each layer gets compressed independently using the best possible technology? And so you can see in this example, we're going to split the red and the blue from the actual text from the picture. And then each one of those layers, we can use a different compression algorithm. So we can use JPEG or JPEG 2000 for the picture. We're going to use JBIG2, which is that great black and white algorithm, for the text. And then for this, for the solid colors, we can do something like FLATE or even JPEG 2000 if we wanted, but something lossless for solid color. Okay. And now we've got the best, and because PDF lets us have multiple layers, which we don't get from simple imaging, we get this advantage. So great technology. You can do this in PDF A1. Okay, there's nothing about, there's nothing new in PDF that enabled this. It's been around forever. The benefits you get if you can move to A2 are things like JPEG 2000, again, getting better compression. But you could do this in PDF A1, and there are companies out there that will let you do this. And you can see some examples in the vendor demo later today. So process is fairly simple. We're going to paper, scanner. You can either go direct to PDF, which is my recommendation, of course, for the reasons I've listed. If you're in an environment where scan to image makes sense, fine, scan it to image, and then bring those PDFs into your process. That process could be something as simple as convert to PDFA. It might be optimization. It might be you're adding OCR. components to it. Whatever it is, bring it out, and then you're going to put it in. So what's nice about this process is, in today's world, it hasn't always been true, but today we can do this fully automated. I talked about the OCR issues of automation, but if we take that piece out for the moment, you can still do this entirely automated. You can be, and there are companies that are throwing hundreds of thousands, millions of documents through processes like this on a daily basis. So absolutely something people are doing and you should consider doing, because it's not something that needs to be done manually anymore. I'll just give one or two examples. These come from, as I said, I'm giving this presentation on behalf of my colleague Thomas from Germany. So these happen to be German examples, but they still give some reasonable things. So here's the German bank needed to convert 20 million pages of content, and that's actually ongoing. That's not like, okay, we're 20 million and we're never going to get any more. It's 20 million with millions and millions coming in every day, plus email, plus additional content. All needs to be brought in, scanned, converted, combined, organized into these single things. And for them, storage is an issue. NARA can easily take 2 petabytes of video data, we heard. So you should all send all of your data to NARA because they're happy to take it. But the bank, not so much. They don't want 2 petabytes of their scanned data. They want small things. And so size is a big deal. Searchability is a big deal. And so the ability to bring all of these pieces together was important. And it was easy to do it all direct to PDF, conversion to PDFA, or even in some cases, direct to PDFA. So I will skip, there's also an e-government example, but I think you get the point at this, is that it's all well defined. The technology is there, and I should say it's off the shelf stuff. I mean, this is not things you have to go out and build, okay? You don't have to grab a whole bunch of little pieces and put them all together. You can go buy a system off the shelf, or even utilize, for that matter, open source. I know government, cost is always an issue. The pieces are there, whether you're starting at an open source or going to a full commercial off the shelf set of components. It's all there today. This is not, it's not rocket science. It's really things that people are doing and that you can incorporate very easily. So let me wrap up. I think hopefully I've made it obvious that we can do this. You can do this very easily. And I think the reasons to do it, to go direct to PDF, to skip the image phase, hopefully has given you that impetus to go off and do it, that I think I've hopefully proven my case, if you will. I don't know that I was trying to argue a case, but if I was. We've got an open standard. It's a set of technology that clearly does what's needed, is a superset of what's out there today, and gives you smaller, more reliable, sustainable, searchable files. So with that, and I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but I will certainly take questions until somebody throws me off the stage. Yes?
Can Distiller create files with MRC compression?
Distiller cannot, but Acrobat can.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you can do a save as?
Yes, so there's actually, so in the Adobe Acrobat product, there is a set of tools for doing paper to OCR. There's one called Enhanced Scans. And Enhanced Scans includes the ability to do OCR. We don't call it that, and I will be honest, I don't remember what the UI element is, but I can look it up for you. But there's an option where it will do that for you automatically. We don't use the term MRC because we don't think most of our users have ever heard it or will know what it is. So we talk about enhancing your scans.
Okay.
And enhancing does that. So yes, you can do it.
One doesn't have to go through an OCR process to get to use that.
No, it's all, the OCR is another one of the check boxes you can
Will
use.
Distiller ever be able to?
No, we actually don't. Distiller does one thing and one thing only. It converts PostScript to PDF, period. It's all Distiller does. It's all it's ever done.
Right.
Any other process, image to PDF, Word to PDF, everything else is all done by Acrobat. Distiller just knows PostScript.
Interesting.
Now, if we scan to TIFF and then bring that into PDF,
Yep.
we lose this layering advantage that you spoke of.
You won't have the layers in the TIFF, but you could then do it in the PDF. So you could bring the TIFF into PDF and then perform the MRC operation, for example, inside it once it's in the PDF. Yeah, so, right, you have to get into
But if you
PDF
scan
to do that.
directly to PDF, that's automatic.
You could do it directly, right, but it could even happen in the scanner. So you get it right out of the scanning device.
You get what?
You could get an MRC-based PDF out of the scanning device.
You can?
You could.
I've never seen it. Interesting.
Yeah,
You mean in the software that you have?
Yeah, so,
Whatever that scanner.
but all built in, yeah, so scanners, and I saw there was a question over there, so I'll come back in a sec. Yeah, so I was talking with someone earlier, scanning direct to PDF, much as I was talking about black and white scanners, it's actually very difficult today to buy a scanner that does not have direct to PDF capabilities in it. It's table stakes. Every scanner does it. That said, most of them do not do MRC in the scanner. They're doing simple image to PDF, send it out. There are higher end scanners. Canon, I know, has one. HP has one, and I'm sure there are many, many others I don't know that have MRC baked into the scanner. So you're actually going to get that MRC version directly out of the scanner. But yeah, those are absolutely high end, not, you're specialized, if you will. It's not the norm.
So what might you suggest with regard to like automating creating MRC files? You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't work with Distiller, then
So I know there are lots of companies, and I will point you to, and I don't know if they're giving demos later today. I don't know who the demos are today, to be honest. But a number of the companies that are here, Loratech, AdLib, and I'm sure I'm missing some, all offer these capabilities in a full automated fashion.
Okay.
So I would absolutely say talk to some of them. And as I said, we don't at the moment do a server side. We do it as a client side, but there are clearly companies with server side, and I would push you to them, absolutely. Yeah, Ron, you had a question.
Oh, first question was, in which versions of Acrobat did this enhanced scan feature appear? How far back does it go?
So it's an interesting question. We actually added it in 6, we dropped it in 8, and we brought it back in 9. And the only reason we did that was because the reason we dropped it for a version was the older version was really, really, really bad, and it took us 2 releases to get it right. So the general answer I would say today is 9 and up. But if you, for some reason, you have a really old version, it's there too. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's there too.
And this ClearScan?
No, ClearScan is different. ClearScan is an OCR related technology. It's a different problem. No, it's called enhanced scans. And I don't have Acrobat on here. It's not my machine. Or I would look.